mistake. We had a Cuban Missile Crisis, and people understand what that was involved with. But this was an ongoing process. It did not end there. And Robert Kennedy and President Kennedy were looking at the statistics of American casualties, American citizens lost. If we had a first strike with Moscow, I think it was like 42 million civilians would have been killed. And then if they just put their foot down on this and said, listen, we're not going to go there. We're not going to do this. Every American citizen, every life is important, and we're going to do whatever we have to do to stop that from happening. And we go to the sources themselves, and if we have to, we put our own lives on the line over this, and that's exactly what they did. But Robert Kennedy, in the wake of the assassination of his brother, was very much left with an enormity of that. And if he had taken this documented information to the American public or put it through the process of disclosure, then as the Attorney General, the Johnson administration would have taken the position that Cuba is the catalyst of this, and of course Russia involvement, and we would have gone to war. The Russians were ready to go to war, ready to exchange visits at that time. They were very concerned that somebody from the Pentagon would let the missiles fly, and Robert Kennedy took it upon himself to take the information that he had and share it with the Russians covertly and say, listen, I'm aware that you're not responsible for this, and I'm not going to follow any course of action that will take us to war. The Russians had actually put a great deal of pressure on the Johnson administration, wanting to know that they weren't going to have a surprise attack over this. And basically the Warren Commission, which the American people were given to satisfy the best truth to let this proceed, was in a lot of pressure of the Russian government. It wasn't for the direct benefit of the American people. It was for the Russian government to understand that we've gone public, that they weren't directly responsible, and there'd be no misinterpretation of attack.
Okay, I'm a little bit confused. You're not claiming that these documents pin this murder and the assassination on the Russians?
No, just the opposite. Actually, right. The Russian government was very interested that this information, any information that they had that was documented, get released. But there were plans in place, and a lot of people don't understand this. Oswald's position in this is not what people think. The history books are written in a certain way, and it's not that at all. A lot of the information that's in the case files of Oswald have been placed there for purpose beforehand, so that he was in a trap position on this when this occurred as well. I mean, obviously they had plans for him, and those plans changed when President Kennedy was assassinated. So the American public does not have a lot of the correct information or disclosure on this, and of course I have to walk a very fine line between what's important for the American public to know, and then the privacy and protection of the Kennedy family also. Because
some of them that you have found.
There is information that's still classified, and the department was quite concerned when they interrogated me. They'd given me they'd sweated me out for about a year, and then they kind of threatened my family, and I said, listen, we'll go to the table on this, and they gave me a blanket immunity for testimony and on the matter, which is amazing considering these are from 1963 and from 1960. But they gave me a blanket immunity from prosecution for this government or any other government to pursue, and for myself and my family. So that in that regard, I went in and was briefed on several occasions by the Justice Department intelligence community under perjury ramifications. And of course, if I had lied, the FBI would have investigated that, and I'd still be in prison now. But I told them the information correctly, and they investigated that, and they wanted to know what the plans were and what this was going to be utilized for, and who was exposed, and where did who was I working for someone who had given me orders and so forth and so on. So they were very interested in knowing exactly what the plans were. And of course, one of the concerns was, was there going to be a case that was going to be opened or tried to be opened through Texas, the open availability of a murder investigation down there. There was no such plan table for that. I've never been discussed.
Okay, let's take a little commercial break. We're here today with Christopher Fulton. This is a fascinating story. He's the author of The Inheritance, Poisoned Fruit of JFK's Assassination. You can find his website at cmfulton.com. Also, too, keep an eye out for him on the 21st, November 21st, 10 p.m. He's going to be on Coast to Coast AM over there for about 4 hours. I think it's like a 4-hour show. So he'll be able to go into a lot more detail there. Keep an eye out at the 21st Coast to Coast AM. We'll be right back with more of Christopher Fulton after these messages. And now a word from our sponsors. Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe add new point-of-sale locations across the country quickly, or bring in revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services to your office building, warehouse, or lobby? CartKing.com is the answer to your need. CartKing.com is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food carts, and kiosks that money can buy. For 20 years, CartKing.com has been working with clients across America to provide indoor and outdoor carts and kiosks for any application. That's www.cart-king.com. Give them a call at 877-986-7771. Tell them Ed Opperman sent you. So you go to the website, cartking.com, you check out their different designs and models. You pick out which design applies to your business. They'll custom design it for you, custom build it for you, and ship it worldwide. cartking.com. PureSoapFlakes.com. 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with pure soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. Order today at puresoapflakes.com, greenhome.com, amazon.com, or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
Hey you, podcast listener, this is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. Take the blue pill. You wake up in your bed and go back to listening to mundane podcasts that won't challenge your religious beliefs and your so-called truths about reality, the universe, and consciousness. Take the red pill. Subscribe to the Event Horizon podcast, hosted by Mark Anthony Peterson, and he will show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Event Horizon takes a walk into the paranormal with a splash of conspiracy. It's the podcast that would be born if David Icke and the X-Files had a baby. Subscribe to the Event Horizon podcast by Mark Anthony Peterson on Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Stitcher, or any of your other favorite podcast platforms. Remember, all we are offering is the truth, nothing more.
It's the Opperman Report here at Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the report. I'm proud to admit we're thinking about this. Where's the fruit of JFK assassination? Author with us and the man's life in the book. Christopher Fulton. His website is cmfulton.com. There's a lot of additional content on there. And also to check him out coming up on November 21st on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. So Christopher, now you said that you were given immunity and then you gave a sworn statement. You testified. Was this at a proceeding or just like a deposition type thing, interview?
These were closed hearings through the Fourth Circuit in Maryland. These were classified testimony in front of the Justice Department and the intelligence community, and the charges they didn't want me to testify in front of the Assassination Records Review Board, and instead of allowing me to do that, I guess they thought my evidence was too controversial, was going to cause too many stuff. So what they did is they issued a warrant and indictment of charges that occurred from something that occurred 6 years prior, which I had signed a federal loan guarantee with my income in the United States was not stated correctly. So that they claimed that to be fraudulent. And then, of course, the IRS had stated that I failed to I evaded reporting requirements within the United States. So they brought me into those charges from 6 years earlier, but I was facing under this national security guise, they were threatening me with 50 years of imprisonment over this.
Yeah.
And they're very, very heavy-handed, and they have ways of doing that under the statutes. Basically, I was told to, if I cooperated with this, and I would allow them to interrogate me so they could understand the parameters of this correctly, that I would be given a much lighter sentence, which I did. I was helped by a federal judge and a U.S. senator when I got out, and I was lucky to serve my time and get through that. It was very unpleasant experience, to say the least, but at least I was able to come out on the other side.
So you actually did time for fudging income on a mortgage application?
I did time. Well, yes. I mean, actually they had a separate individual account for me for every time I used the ATM machine.
Yeah.
Every time I used a credit card.
Yeah. And also, too, I bet anytime you mail something, U.S. postal mail fraud too, right?
Anything they could do, and they can tally this up on a tally tape, however they want to do it. You can be looking at a lot of time, and of course, if they want to make it stick, they can try to make that stick. To the federal government, they can do what they will, but the realities of it are that they're very heavy-handed, and they wanted me to take it very seriously. And of course, when I was placed on the most wanted list for a while, which they said was a mistake. I was an armed and dangerous person, and the foreign government was told through the State Department and everything else to cooperate on this immediately. It was a very serious thing, and I went through the resolve of this and learned very quickly that I may not make it through this. So I was going to be cooperative about this, obviously, but at the same time, I just wanted I wanted justice to prevail. But we were looking at a suppression, and that's one of the main reasons the book exists. Is that the book wasn't written for any other purpose but to share with the American people what I had been told by important figures in all of this, and what I had to, what I went through, what I experienced from a first-hand perspective, so that they could take it with me and understand it, and then they can look through whatever filter they like, but at least they have the information.
And what have you been told?
Well, I was told that there was a coup that took place to change the power structure in this country, and the American public was not allowed the information to understand all of that for reason to keep us out of war with Russia. One of the amazing things is that there's just so little understanding of why the Kennedy brothers were killed and what this was all about. And since World War II, we'd been given the position that we were going to be the superpower in the world, and how we're going to deal with that, and how we're going to keep that alive. And we had weapons now of such mass destruction that we were very concerned how this was all going to be handled. And there was an idea on the table since World War II that we were going to take Moscow out first. If you take Moscow out first, then communism falls, the rest of the country infrastructure would fall, and this problem would be resolved. And while we have the missile gap heavily in our favor, which was not known at the time, we had a very much more capability than Russia did, but the consensus was that if we don't do this in 62, or if we don't do this in 63, that it's going to get out of hand, and we're going to have a problem where an exchange is going to take place, or we're going to lose our position in the world, and democracy is going to have a problem. And the Kennedy brothers were faced with this dilemma that was put on their desk. It landed on their table. So they said, when they reviewed this, the Kennedy brothers had a very different approach to this. The world was changing, and every life was important, and people weren't going to be used as pawns, and they dedicated their lives and lost their lives over this exact issue. Cuba was used as a catalyst in between this endeavor, and President Kennedy had sidestepped some of the intelligence community and the Pentagon on this, and gone directly to the source in Russia, and asked for cooperation through NASA to lessen the chance of a ongoing pursuit of missile capability, and the better chance that we would have a peaceful resolve to all of this. And of course, the people that were entrenched before President Kennedy had come in were enraged by how he was handling this, and they were very concerned that the United States was going in the wrong direction and that we were very, making ourselves more vulnerable. It's better to use a heavy